Hi there, Ram owners. Today in our 2019 Ram 1500, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install Demco's tabless base plate. Your base plate is going to be one of 5 main components you'll need to flat tow your vehicle behind your motorhome. In addition to your base plate, you'll need your tow bar, which is the connection between your motorhome and your vehicle, your safety cables, which is a supplemental connection in addition to your tow bar, your diode wiring, which takes all the lights from your motorhome, transfers those signals to the back of your vehicle so all those lights will work properly so people behind you know your intentions when going down the road, and your supplemental braking system, which will apply the brakes in your vehicle when you hit the brakes in your motorhome to help it come to a safe stop. And this is what our base plate looks like when it's installed. I like that when not in use, it comes with some caps that go in the end. It gives it a nice clean look and it keeps out dirt and debris in there so that way it's easier to connect your tow bar to it since it's not filling up with all that gunk. It replaces your factory tow hooks if you have those. If you don't have factory tow hooks, it's going to go in the slot where they would be. There's a plastic insert in here that does have to be removed, but it looks almost factory once you've got it in there. We'll now hook our tow bar up to our base plate. Now, once you remove the cap here, you're going to see that it's got an opening here, and you're probably wondering, well, how does my tow bar connect to that? Well, your base plate comes with adapters that will attach to your tow bar, like we have here. You do have to bolt it onto the bar from your tow bar. It comes with various hardware to match up to the particular tow bar that you're going to use. Once you have the adapter installed, take the slotted end here. So we're going to slide it with it horizontal into the base plate, twist it to lock it in place, and then use the included pin and clip to keep it secured. We can now hook up the rest of our components. So we're going to hook up our safety cables. When hooking up to the motorhome side, you want to make sure you cross your cables. So this is the cable that's actually hooked to the passenger side on the vehicle. We're hooking it to the driver's side on our motorhome, and we're going to do vice versa for the other one. This will create a cradle here towards the front, just in case we did have a catastrophic disconnect. It would catch the component to keep it from digging down to the pavement. We then hooked up our braking system and our diode wiring, and we're now ready to put our vehicle into tow mode and hit the road. It's a fairly easy installation since it replaces where your tow hooks would go. Let's go over the installation together now so you can have the confidence to do it at home. We'll begin our installation on the driver's side wheel well. We need to access some of the hardware behind here so we can get our bumper off. The panel located here we're going to be removing. There's 3 bolts we're going to take out with an 8mm socket here. And then there are 2 more 8mm bolts. They're located on the inside here. They're kind of behind the tire, so you may need to angle the tire to get in there or use a swivel in order to get by. Once all those bolts are removed, we can take our panel off and set it aside. We're going to take the panel off on the other side of the vehicle in the same way. We'll then need to pull our wheel well cover here back so we can access hardware behind it. There are 4 bolts located here we need to take out with an 8mm socket. And there's another bolt towards the inside here in this little concave spot up there. There's 1 plastic fastener we're going to need to remove here to get that out. It's in a pretty deep concave spot, so it can be kind of difficult to get to. We can now pull this fender liner back. And we're just going to tuck it back here out of the way. And then there's a 10mm bolt located just around the lip here. So if you look, there's 1, 2, or 3 bolt holes up on this piece, and just behind that 3rd hole you're going to find another bolt, and we're going to remove that using a 10mm socket. It's very difficult to see it, but if you reach around you'll be able to feel it. There's a black tab located right here. You can use a screwdriver and push down on that black tab, and that'll help release it. We're then going to pull out on the trim piece here to get it released. It's a little bit easier if you go in the back side. You can see the small tabs that are holding it in, and you can squeeze those with a pair of needle nose or pliers to get those to pull out without causing any damage to them. Once you've got them all released, we can push out on our panel here, slide it out from underneath of it, and then we're just going to work our way forward, pulling it off. Now, if you look at each of your tabs here, you can see they got a small little ear there. If one of them gets caught, you can use a small tool to get down in there to pop that tab loose so you can get that pulled out. Now that we've got our panel removed on this side, we're going to repeat the same process on the opposite side to get that side removed as well. We're now underneath the vehicle behind the bumper. If you follow the frame until it meets the bumper, you'll see that there are 3 studs on each side sticking through. We need to remove the nuts so we can take our bumper off. We're going to use a 19mm socket to remove these nuts. And I recommend threading one nut on and leaving one on there, just a few threads on, so that way the bumper can't fall off when you're taking off the rest of your nuts. I like to make sure it's one of the ones that's easiest to get to, so this bottom one here is perfect. And for the upper inside one, you'll likely need to use a wrench to get this one off because the body mount's kind of right behind it. Now that we got the 3 removed on this side, we're going to remove the 3 on the other side the same way. Now that we got all of our bolts loose, we want to disconnect the electrical connector located on the driver's side, just in front of the driver's side tire. The big harness here, you can pop it off. It makes it a little easier if you just pull it off the frame there. Then slide back the lock tab, and you can then pull the gray lever. Just give a little bit of pressure here on this side to release it. Then you can pull the gray lever back, and that will separate the 2 pieces. We can now pull our bumper off. It's just going to pull forward and slide out of place. You might have to wiggle it a little bit to get it to come loose on each side. And then we'll set it aside where it won't get damaged. Now, depending on your model, you may need to remove your tow hooks if they're present. If there are no tow hooks present, then you'll want to check your bumper cover and look for plastic coverings that would cover up where your tow hooks go. Since we have tow hooks, we're going to remove our tow hooks using a 19mm socket for the bolt furthest towards the rear. And then a 21mm for the forwardmost bolt. We can then set our tow hook aside where it won't get damaged. To get your tow hook off, just simply slide it off the rubber piece. And then the long bolt with the rubber bushing on it, we're just going to reinstall that bolt. We're now going to lift our tow bar in place and put the hardware in. This is the hardware we're going to be using. This is the 14mm bolt that comes with the kit. Slide a lock washer on it, and then we're going to apply Loctite to this bolt and every bolt going forward from this step. If you need some Loctite, you can get some here at etrailer.com. We'll now take our tow bar, make sure you get the one labeled driver's side if you're working on the driver's side. The large hole here is going to slide around the bolt that we loosened to get our tow hook off. And then the bolt we prepared is going to go into the forwardmost slot that we removed the bolt earlier to get our tow hook off. When you're tightening it down, you just want to make sure that it butts up against the frame on all sides. So you want to check the inside of your frame, make sure it's flush, as well as your bottom. Now that we've gotten that bolt tightened down and it's tight up against our frame, we're going to need to drill out the 3 holes located here on the side as well as the one on the bottom. We're going to use a 17/32 drill bit to do this, and you want to make sure you're using the correct size due to the bolts. They're designed to pull through the frame and fit tight in them to keep them from spinning. I would recommend doing the bottom bolt first, putting that one through and then tightening it down, and then moving on to the side ones just to make sure we've got our bottom pulled up flush. We can then take the fish wire that comes in our kit. We're going to go up through the hole that we just made, feed it towards the opening here at the front. We'll then take our new hardware, and this is the knurls I was talking about. That's important. It gets tight inside the hole we just drilled. This keeps the bolt from spinning so we can torque it down to the appropriate spec. Thread it onto our coiled wire there, and then pull it back down. We'll then put a 1/2-inch flange nut on it, along with some red Loctite. And then we'll tighten it down with a 19mm socket. You can see here now we're pulled up tight against the bottom of the frame. So now we're going to go onto the side and we're going to drill out those 3 bolt holes that we discussed earlier. And then we're going to repeat the same process on the other side. Gone ahead and drilled out all those remaining holes. And just like we did with our lower bolt, we're going to use our fish wire to feed in the same size bolts through each of those holes and then place a nut on it just like we did with that bottom one. And then we can go back and tighten all those down using a 19mm socket. We can then go back and torque all of our hardware to the specifications found in our instructions. Now that we've got everything torqued down, we're ready to reinstall our bumper and fascia components in reverse order of how we removed them. Now, if you are doing a complete flat toe setup, then I would recommend that you leave those off for now and complete the rest of your flat toe setup, such as your braking system and diodes, as a lot of those wires have to run here to the front, and while you got all this removed, it's just going to make your life a lot easier. And that completes our installation of Demco's tabless base plate on your 2019 Ram 1500.